Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join 3 Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers!
Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
And we're talking about The Valley Season 3 Reunion Part 2. Before we start, please, if you would, please go to our YouTube and subscribe, and go to our socials, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and follow and comment.
That would be
please.
lovely.
We love the engagement. So we open up the second episode with Andy talking about the ending of Michelle and Jesse's marriage. Michelle says it feels incredible to say she's finally single, and Jesse says they only communicate about Isabella and it's going well. And Michelle's like, yeah, well, 90% of the time it's going well. So, it's funny because I didn't think we were going to get so much about them in the reunion, but I'm happy. Jesse says Michelle has gone, and this is true, Michelle has gone to Canyon Run in seasons 2 and 3 with people who do not hike to talk about the $300,000 loan. So first it was Sheena in season 2, and then it was Lala in season 3. Michelle says he's embarrassed to talk about it, and he's like, do I look embarrassed? He said, you're a cheater and a liar. And Lala chimes in and is like, you have to stop calling her a liar. And listen, I like Michelle, but if you cheat, and I do think she cheated with that guy Aaron. I do think she was having a relationship with that guy Aaron before they were legally divorced.
Right.
If you're a cheater, you are a liar. You cannot be one without being the other.
But
I guess you can be a liar without being a cheater, but you can't be a cheater without being a liar.
But now, how come Jesse never answered about the loan or his lack of paying for Isabella's insurance? Never answered. All of a sudden, and the girlfriend shifted the whole conversation away.
You're right. You are right.
The whole conversation. He never answered. And I don't know if you noticed, again, Jesse, right? That's the guy's name. What's the girlfriend's name?
Lacey.
Lacey did it again with the hand thing.
I saw that online. I did watch it on Peacock this time.
Right.
And I saw people commenting about that online, but I didn't see it for myself. But
she
when you're
again now, she did it again.
You're not always looking at
episode.
the TV,
right?
Yeah.
So this episode, she did it again already. So I was like, okay. And then,
listen,
people were saying about how everybody's coming, how she's supporting Jesse, and you guys have said, oh, she's super wealthy. She wasn't even married to that dude for a year. And she got
so she doesn't get alimony, but I do think it's been spoken about that she got a very hefty settlement when they got divorced.
Well, she must know something, because why in the world would somebody who hasn't even been married to somebody for a whole year get such a huge settlement? That don't make no sense.
He must be worth a lot of money. I don't know who her ex is, and I honestly don't care. I don't care enough
funky,
to use my resources to try to find out who her ex is. But he must have a lot of money.
Yes, but it just smells fishy to me. Like, that's like a really short time frame. And what, you married somebody, you got that much dough, and you didn't get a prenup, and you weren't even married for a year, and now you're giving her all this. I don't know, something ain't right.
It doesn't pass the sniff test?
No, it's not sniffing.
All right. So, listen, I don't think Jesse was fun to be married to towards the end, and I don't think Michelle was fun to be married to towards the end. But Lala needs to shut the F up. Because Lala, you showed us nothing except, and please, no disrespect, all she showed us this season was her putting her dog down. That's all we saw of Lala this season. Other than that, she's just chomping at the bit and talking about everybody else's shit. So honestly, Lala, shut the fuck up. I can't take it anymore. I can't take Lala anymore. Michelle says Jesse took a $300,000, I believe it was a PPE loan from COVID, and put it in his personal account. Now, he is a real estate agent. You are, I believe, I believe in New Jersey, and I could be wrong. I believe you are a 1099 employee, correct?
Oh, yeah. And Mauricio did the same thing, mind you.
What other account are you going to put it in? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have an LLC, if you don't have a corporation as a realtor, as a real estate agent, I believe you're a 1099 employee.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm going to ask. I mean, but then again, California laws could be different than New Jersey laws.
Well, like I said, all I have to say about it is he did not answer.
No, he didn't answer. You're absolutely right.
So to me, again, suspect.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Andy says that Michelle said on Watch What Happens Live that she was paying most of the household expenses. And Lacey cuts in and says, "You always say I'm paying for Jesse, and I'd rather light myself on fire." Michelle has shown people text messages where Jesse's like, "I can't pay this month." And they're all like, "We've seen it." So it was kind of annoying to watch at this point because basically Lacey and Michelle were just talking over each other.
Mm-hmm.
Lacey says Jesse has never asked her for money, and the girls keep saying Jesse is using her for her money and it's misogynistic. So Andy's like, well, how is it misogynistic? I actually looked up the definition of misogynistic just to know for myself. And it is when like men, it's men like looking down on women.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand why Andy asked that. But Lacey said Aaron filmed all last season and of course gets cut off by Lala again, but then is able to finish. And she's like, Aaron filmed but nobody was like, he's using Michelle to be on the show. So she said, you're making it seem like I'm not worthy enough to have someone like Jesse. And I'm using him to be on the show. But Aaron filmed, and nobody said he was using Michelle to be on the show, which quite honestly, looking back, he probably did. Because he turned out to be a douche. And Lala says to Jesse and Lacey, it seems like you guys don't like each other. And Kristen's like, you don't know that or her sense of humor or their dynamic. And that's the truth. You can tell by watching them that that's just their thing.
Right. It's a shtick.
Right. So just, Andy's like, well, tell her you love her right now. And he does. And she says it back. Andy asks him about getting married. And Lacey says she does not want to get married again. And she doesn't get alimony, but she never wants to go through that again. Listen, again, I think she got a very hefty settlement from her divorce. Why would she want to get married again? She is set financially for she and her daughter. And whoever comes along, comes along.
Right.
Like, I don't know. To me, I mean, obviously, I'm very happy that I married Eric, but God forbid anything ever happened. I don't know if I would ever get married again because to me, a piece of paper just isn't that important.
Right.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Jesse says he doesn't think he wants to get married again, but that's right now and he doesn't know. So Andy asks what her relationship is with Isabella, and Lala and Michelle cut her off again, but eventually we get to the point where Lacey's able to say Isabella is lovely and she is exquisite and I love her very much. But Michelle did not like that Andy asked her that question. Did you catch that?
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Andy says it was very clear when they signed the divorce papers that they really loved each other. And Michelle says when it's just the two of them, they're fine. And then Jesse, says that they had Isabella a month into quarantine and things got rough after that. And he does say, like, I didn't help with it. Like, Michelle was kind of isolating herself, which a lot of people did, understandable. And he may have been trying to still make money and go out and sell houses. And it was a very tricky situation. I mean, I work for a law firm. I worked remote. My role in that firm was very easy to do for me at home in my, in my home office. A real estate agent, you can't.
Not so much. Right.
It's a very difficult career to navigate during a quarantine, for crying out loud. But I thought it was good that he at least took responsibility and said I didn't help with that. So finally, we move on to something else, and it's Schwartzy and Kiana. and we find out they've been together for 9 months. And Schwartzy says he would love to bend the knee one more time and propose. He does want kids so bad. And she does too, but he's not sure if he wants them with him. He said they have great communication and he's grateful for everyone on the couch for being so supportive. And I thought that was lovely because I do believe that some or most of them are friends with his ex-wife, Katie Maloney. But she's happy with somebody else as well. I mean, I'll say it again. I've said it a million times. Tom Sandoval, I think, was a huge detriment to their relationship. But who knows? Maybe they wouldn't have lasted it. Tom Tom is for sale. Tom Tom is a bar restaurant that Lisa Vanderpump, one of the original Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, who's no longer on the show, she owns numerous restaurants in Hollywood, Beverly Hills. She gave Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz the opportunity to go into business with her. They opened up a bar restaurant called Tom Tom. She gave them a small percentage of the company, but, it was good exposure for them and stuff, but it's for sale now. He said it's sad and everything's up for sale, the intellectual rights included. He's made peace with it. He got his $50,000 initial investment back, and he still owns 2.5%. So he will get something from the sale, which is good for him. Andy moves on to Zach and Benji. How about when Andy says to Zach, "We've seen you take some big steps with your little boyfriend, Benji."
I know.
So sometimes on Watch What Happens Live, you can tell that Andy reads a card and then he stops and he's like, who wrote that? I think somebody wrote that for him, and I don't think he knew he was about to say that. Because that was rude.
It was rude.
Anyway, Zach says they've been living on and off, together, like more steadily with Benji. There's still no furniture in the apartment except a dining room table and chairs. And Zach goes into saying that being in LA has been a hard experience for him. He doesn't think he would have made it without Brittany and Kristen. Kristen says that Zach has fallen into jobs where he wouldn't necessarily get paid. And he says out of all of his friendships, he doesn't know what he would do without Brittany and Kristen. And I thought that was nice.
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice for him.
Yeah. He said Benji is finally divorced. He's giving him a little leeway on kids because he loves them, but he does want to have kids, Benji. And he had given him a year, which should be up this coming January.
Oof.
Yeah. So Andy's like, what happens if you decide you don't want kids? And Zach really doesn't even know how to answer that. But he says, I've never been in such a stable place, but I don't really have the lifestyle right now to support that. I suppose he's talking about financially, but Benji is a doctor. So,
yeah, so you're good.
I mean, he's from Canada, so I don't know what it takes for him to be able to practice here. I don't know what kind of doctor he is, but
Right.
So I guess they break, right? They break and then they come back. And I thought it was funny. Did you see Luke, Kristen's husband, asking for powder? He's like, do I need some more powder?
Yeah, like you really want to get back to Colorado, so you just fish.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. But boy, you need the powder. I was like, oh, you drank the Kool-Aid, boy.
Exactly.
Drank the Kool-Aid.
I'm like, oh, you rough and rugged, fisherman. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a question because we'll get into conversation. But, when Andy's talking to Kristen and Luke about their situation, and do you think when they're talking about therapy, do you think that they are each going to individual therapy, or do you think that just Kristen is going to therapy and Luke's doing nothing?
So just Kristen goes to therapy, but after they had Kaya, they did try couples therapy. Luke's not into therapy. Some guys just don't believe in it. Some people, I shouldn't just say guys, some people just don't believe in therapy. Luke's one of them.
Right.
So he was kind of a hard sell on the therapy. He went for her.
Right. I remember we saw him go, but that's kind of how I took it is now she just goes to therapy. He doesn't go at all.
Yeah. And I think she's gone consistently probably since she was kicked off of VPR, fired off of VPR.
Right. And I don't know how that whole situation is going to work out because I don't know
I do
about
worry
him.
about them.
I don't know about him because he just seems there's just doesn't seem to be a lot of gray with him, and that's never good
Yes.
because shit is not
Yes.
black and white.
Right. Not everything's black and white. I
Not
agree
everything's
with you
black
there.
and white, and I think he just had this conception of something that was not based on anything but something in his own mind, and then when it didn't go that way, he was like, "Oh, well, then that's fucked up then." Instead of
Right.
being like, "Well, just because I thought it was gonna be this way, so maybe it's not this way. Maybe it's this way, and maybe that's okay too." But
But
there's
don't
just
you think that that kind of realization comes with maturity after having kids? Like, listen, you can have your birthing plan and you can have your co-parenting plan and you can have all these things in place. You can have all your ducks in a row. And life's like
right,
wrong.
right,
You're not gonna do that. You're gonna
right.
have to do this because this is
Absolutely.
what life's gonna throw at you.
But I don't see that sinking in for him. I don't see
Mm,
that. I just still see it as his reaction is almost like the baby was born 2 months ago and, "Oh, this is fucked up. This is not what I thought it was gonna be." It's still I feel like he's still like that. Like, it's
right.
still I don't know. I'm not
No, I
feeling
hear
it.
you.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna get to that, but before that, right before we get into Luke and Kristen, Lala says co-parenting with Randall is impossible. Andy asks, how's co-parenting with Randall? She says it's impossible and they only communicate through the app. He lives in Miami now, which I didn't know. Pops in and Ocean, their daughter, thinks he's great, and when she sees him, and that's all Lala can ask for. She says she wishes he was somewhere farther where he can't get out, but all in due time. Now, that means she's wishing that he goes to jail because there are allegations against Randall, kind of like a Harvey Weinstein, because he was also in the movie industry. And there are some allegations like a Me Too movement, Harvey Weinstein. I do believe Randall will eventually
Uh-huh.
probably serve some time.
Uh,
Yeah. Andy asks about more kids, and Lala says Sosa is kicking her ass. She's tired and she's not thinking about more kids at the time. That's that second child, baby. Amen to that. The first one tricks you right into having a second one, and then they fuck you all up. Except Wendy. Wendy doesn't have that dynamic in her family. Her second is not like that at all. That might be the only exception to the rule that I know. So now we get to Kristen and Luke becoming new parents. Andy asks Luke if things in the bedroom have improved, and he just says, yeah. And listen, at this point, I don't know if you clocked this, but Jasmine looks at Schwartz and says, I can't. You can't what?
yeah, there was a lot going on that other couch.
Jasmine with the eye rolling and the I can't. And listen, Jasmine, you're just not that interesting right now. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. They're going to ask other people questions because they were the front runners of the show. I like Jasmine. I like what she brings, but she doesn't give main character energy. I know you've been on 5 reality TV shows, but you haven't really nailed down that main character energy yet. You got to work on that. So Luke says the doctor, now this is interesting for new parents. The doctor said that, it was a go to have sex after 6 weeks. So Luke was like, cool. And then Danny says, whoever came up with the 6-week rule should be fired. And then did you see Janet? And this could all be production, but did you see Janet robotically turn to Lala and Michelle with a snarky look on her face? I'm like,
Acting like he was saying, because it should be sooner. That's not what he was saying.
that's not what he was saying. He was saying that maybe some people are good in 6 weeks, but the majority are not.
Are not, right.
And even if physically your body is ready to handle
Got nothing to
intercourse,
do with it.
mentally, most
Right.
women aren't there yet.
Right.
So obviously people online are coming for Luke, and it's okay. But listen, I feel like Luke has been nothing but honest throughout this whole thing. And isn't that all we can add? Isn't that what you're supposed to do when you're on a reality TV show?
Absolutely. Be honest about
I mean,
it. Yeah.
you can come for him all you want, but Nia says she tore after Asher was born, so it took over 6 months for them to get busy again. It didn't take that
I just
long
want
after
to
the
say
twins. We didn't need this information.
thank you.
I think that Nia and Danny and Kristen and Luke really have formed a good friendship. And I think that in this case, Nia and Danny were trying to help them like, listen, it's different every time. Like, yeah, Luke just admit that he thought that he was having sex after 6 weeks. And then very soon after 6 weeks had passed, realized he was not, in fact, having sex with Kristen. So I think that they were just trying to help them out. Like, because then she says after the twins, she was ready much sooner, which is surprising because she had twins. And now with the last one, Adelaide, like, not so soon. So it's pregnancy by pregnancy. And then Kristen goes into the fact that she's needy and clingy, but she didn't express it the right way to Luke and later realized she was dealing with postpartum depression and she didn't expect the rage that came with that. So of course Andy calls her out like, you didn't expect rage, like, or didn't, wasn't aware of it. And she's like, no, not normal Kristen rage. I'm talking about the postpartum rage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was funny. Andy asks Luke why he felt that it was only allowed to be hard for Kristen. And he said, he gave up a lot to move to LA and he felt like it wasn't appreciated. He felt lonely and estranged. They had continued couples therapy, but her therapist told her that if they are volatile during couples therapy, then they might not be ready for it and they need to resolve things before they go back. I feel like the word volatile was probably not the right word to use.
The right word, right.
Because I don't think they're volatile with each other.
No. Oh, God, no.
I mean, even when we saw them in therapy, like, biting, yes.
Right. I just think she meant it more in the way of saying he's not ready to hear what he doesn't want to hear.
Right. That's true.
Because that's the problem. He doesn't want to hear what he doesn't want to hear.
So Andy asks Luke if he would have waited until after the pregnancy to propose. Would he have still done it? And he's like, that's a hard question to answer. And Michelle's like, oh, that's not good. Which, there's nothing wrong with Michelle saying that. I think that was just like a knee-jerk reaction.
Right. But really, they should not be talking about a wedding right now.
No.
You ain't getting along great. So why would you talk about a wedding now? So
I totally agree. And again, I give Luke credit for answering that question honestly. Like, I don't know. That's not what happened. So I can't really say what I would have done in that situation. But Luke's like, I wouldn't have like broken up with you. And then there's Jasmine rolling her eyes again. But again, we really don't know if this is production and if Jasmine rolled her eyes at something else and they just pieced it in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kristen says they're happy now. And Jasmine's like, yikes. And Janet looks at Jason with like a mortified look. So they're not making any decisions about a second child. And Kristen says she isn't living in Colorado. She's like, well, I'm not moving to Colorado. And he was like, well, that was kind of a, harsh response to living in Colorado. And she's like, well, your ranch is beautiful and great, but it's in the middle of nowhere. And again, he makes like this face. It's like, she's not moving to some remote area of Colorado. It's just not happening.
Right.
So stop acting so fucking surprised. So now we finally get to the Bookos versus the Capernas.
But now how about this? How about Andy? Luke and Kristen are talking about their trip they were supposed to take to New York and blah, blah, blah. And then the nanny was out of the country. And there's Andy saying, we have to have backups. I'm like, bitch, how about just a nanny how about just a nanny in the first place?
Right.
I want to talk to you, Kelly Witter. How lovely would it have been to have a fucking nanny? You know what? How lovely it would be to even have a fucking housekeeper. No less a housekeeper.
I would love a house
and
I
a
would
nanny.
love a cleaning person.
And now you're going on about a backup?
Yeah, I would really like to have somebody come clean my house because I've learned over the years I don't like to clean. I'm not a good housekeeper. I don't like it.
I'm just
I'd like
over
a housekeeper.
it.
And I would have loved a nanny when my kids were little.
Yeah.
Just for certain things,
Yeah, but I'm just like,
Yeah, but not everybody has Andy Cohen money where you can have 2-3 nannies lined up.
Right. Yeah, now you're getting too much with the backup.
Right.
I'm like, now you're pissing me off.
Right. Sit down, Andy.
Yeah, sit down with your...
So thankfully, the first question from a viewer, thank you, Sarah from Buffalo, because she asked, Janet and Jason, you defended Jax's behavior but kept coming for Danny. And Jason says he never defended what Jax did. He took him to rehab and then gave him time after to see if he made changes. Okay. So you gave him some time. He clearly did not make changes. And then Kristen says, if Zach or I ever gave Jax an inch of friendship, Brittany would never go for that in a million years. And Zach says, like Thanksgiving. So Janet and Jason had Jax over for a holiday because they then corrected Zach and said that it was Christmas Eve. So Kristen says that Brittany says it was the way Jason was handling it. And I was never mad if you guys were nice to him. And Kristen says, you know what I was doing. So I think Kristen knew that they wanted Jax off the show last season. So she wasn't giving him any airtime. She wasn't giving him anything. She wasn't answering his calls, nothing. Zach says if he and Kristen ever had Jax over, it wouldn't fly. And he knows they hugged it out. He's saying this to Janet, but we need to resolve this. Janet says Jax asked if he could come over, and Janet immediately said no. And then she called Brittany, and Brittany said it wouldn't help her out if they let him come over. So Janet says Jax asked if he could come over, and Janet immediately said no. And then she called Brittany, and Brittany was like, actually, it would really help me out if you would let him come over for the holiday. So they did. So,
but didn't she say just so that he won't bother me?
Yes. Which, listen, maybe that's really what happened, but Brittany is protecting Janet and Jason for a reason. And it's because Jax wanted to take down Danny and Nia, and Brittany was completely complicit with that. And Janet and Jason know that. And if Brittany steps out of line one step, they're going to call her out on it.
Right.
100%. But whatever. Andy asks Danny what Jason could have said at the cigar night that would have made things better. And Danny's like, a simple, I'm sorry, would have helped. And Jason says, but I'm not sorry for everything. He said he isn't the one that did the things Danny did. He's sorry for calling him a clown and a douche. And Danny says that Jason perpetuated what Janet said, the essay comment. And he did. He did perpetuate it. Danny says Janet comparing him to Charles Manson was ridiculous, and Janet says she didn't, but we all saw her do it. And Danny says it's exactly what Jax did last season. And he did. She did exactly what Jax did. And Kristen said it was a shitty analogy. So Janet says, I should have said, even if it didn't happen to me, it can still affect me. And Nia and Danny both were like, absolutely. That is good. Like, what if you would have said that? Fine.
Right.
So then Andy says Nia's always been open about postpartum struggles and asks her how she's feeling now. And Nia says she's better. And they have an au pair now, and that gives them more time and space to invest in their relationship. Andy says Nia expressed to Danny that she was overwhelmed, and Nia says he is always very supportive and helps problem solve. She says he is in it to help her navigate it, knowing what she needs and how she is. Andy brings up the scene when Nia was eating. You probably didn't see this. They were on vacation. It was the first vacation they went on this season, and they did have a nanny with them, but they had gotten to the place. Nia sat down and was eating a sandwich. She asked Danny to put the baby down for a nap, and he got pissed off and reacted to her. And basically he says he was reacting that way because they brought the nanny and they're paying the nanny for a reason. So you're sitting there eating, but you're asking me to put the baby down, but meanwhile we're paying a nanny. So
all you got to do is pick up the baby. You go say, sure, babe. You pick up the baby. You go find the nanny and you say, you know what? Nia's sitting down to eat. I'd like to join her. Here's the baby. Can you put her down? You come back to the table.
I mean, the thing is that these are all natural reactions by people. Listen, if you're married and have a newborn and don't react this way with your spouse, God bless you, because my husband and I did 100%.
Yeah, you nip. Absolutely.
You nip and you nip and you nip. Andy brings up the scene when Nia, so that scene, and he says, Danny came off as a dick. And Nia says that 2 months before this show started airing, they started intense couples therapy. So Lala says she has two and can understand, but she says it seems that Nia is in this completely solo. Well, she says, we know that's not true. And she wanted to come through the screen and deck Danny for Nia. So I'm going to tell you a little story. Actually, I'm not, because listen, when Tess was first born and we would go to family events for Eric's side of the family, somebody in his family would always make comments to me like, I feel so bad for you. He doesn't even help. And that used to fucking infuriate me because Eric helped tremendously when my kids were little. Eric was a very hands-on dad. I stayed home for a year with Tess, but I worked Saturdays at a salon like I do now. He was her caregiver. He worked full-time. He commuted. Now, I'm not going to go into any more details than that. However, your husband commuted. My husband commutes. Wendy's husband commuted. We were the primary caregivers for our children. So when our children got to, needed something, who were they going to go to for that at any age?
Mm-hmm.
Us, because we were with them more of the time.
Right.
But that did not make our husbands not good fathers.
Right.
Not engaged fathers. It just doesn't. It just didn't. So this, I don't know. That annoyed me. Danny says his reaction when he saw his behavior when Nia was trying to eat, and he saw his reaction, and he explains that they were up all night with a screaming toddler on no sleep, and Jasmine starts whispering again, I'm sick of it. And he says, we were anxious because we were coming into a situation where we were going on vacation with the Capernas. Things weren't good. And Jason looks at Jen and he's like, oh, so it's our fault. So,
well, listen, there's two sides to it, though. I mean, all that he's saying is true. And people who don't have kids, you don't know what it can be like. But you also cannot throw up the kid shield to explain all of your bad behavior. Because you still made some poor choices that I'm thinking you would have made kids or no kids. Tired or no tired. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe that was a little bit of Jasmine's frustration with the situation, even though she didn't necessarily express it clearly that way.
So, they go through the whole thing. Danny says he saw his behavior. He was, obviously he felt sick over it. Andy asks Danny if he normally doesn't help with the kids. And he's like, I put them down. I changed their diapers. I swaddle them. Andy asks Kristen what her reaction was. And she says, I'm the wrong person to ask. She said, because even when I have help around, I still have a hard time letting go. But seeing Danny speak to Nia the way he did sometimes was disappointing to her. But it doesn't affect how she sees him as a friend or a human being because she knows them so well. And she called Nia and was like, this is really hard to watch. So, and then, whatever. I don't even want to talk about what Lala said because who fucking cares about Lala and what her opinion is? Seriously. Danny says we've been married for 10 years. We have 4 kids. When you're sleep deprived, you say things you never thought you would say. And I'm going to attest to that. I've said it a million times. I told Eric I hated him in the middle of the night one night when Tess was a baby because I couldn't find the binky.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
As if he hid it on purpose so I could.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And Jasmine just is losing her shit at the end of the couch. She's like, I'm about to lose my fucking mind. The whole season, not just you, but everyone's like, oh, I have kids. And everybody reacted the same way. Like, you don't have them, so you can't say anything. Even Andy's like, sometimes it is like that.
Right.
So Jasmine, don't have kids yet because you are not ready, girl.
Not ready.
If you're looking at this and this is bothering you, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Because these are facts right here.
Right.
This is what happens.
What it is. Right.
She says they make her not want to have kids. They're so miserable. This was interesting. Andy says, what happened, Luke, when we invited you to watch What Happens Live? So apparently Luke and Kristen were supposed to go on Watch What Happens Live together, and Luke said he would only come if Kristen weren't involved because she needed a break. And Kristen says their nanny was out of town. They were trying to get Luke's mom to come with them. It wasn't working out. So I don't know if she was going to have to bring the baby, but basically Kristen was like, if I go, I'm staying in the room the whole time. And Luke was like, I want to explore New York. Now, he's from Colorado. He's living in LA. I don't know how often he gets to New York, but listen,
Right.
New York is a fun place.
Yeah,
and if you're
yeah.
going to New York, you do want to experience some things. I'm not a Luke apologizer, but I don't want to go to New York and sit in a fucking hotel room the whole time.
Right. Well, I think when he explained it, the way that I took it is that he was very excited for the two of them to go to New York together and do some things. He said, but it just didn't make sense to drag the baby there, fuck up her whole sleep schedule, stay there for like one night, drag the baby back, and then you're stuck for like another 2 nights of her sleep cycle, not really be able to do anything. The baby's going to be shot. It was just, he was right. It didn't make sense.
I totally agree. It didn't make sense.
I don't feel like he necessarily explains himself correct.
He definitely didn't explain himself well to Kristen when this was going on. I feel like he's explained it well now.
Right.
He's had time to think about it.
Right.
But even, I just feel like if you go to New York, you want to experience New York. Doesn't mean you got to stay out all night, but you want to go to dinner, you want to walk around, you want to see the sights.
Right. And I think even that would have been a bitch with a baby who's been on the plane for 8 hours, and you're going to stay for one day, and then you're going to get back on a plane for another 5 hours. That's madness. It's madness.
So Kristen was obviously upset about it. He apologizes, but he was like, you were making jokes about it and making light of it. And she's like, yeah, of course. So he didn't realize how hurt she was. So then Andy's like, well, let me play devil's advocate. Why wouldn't you leave the baby with a nanny? And then they have to reiterate, like, Andy, we just told you 10 minutes ago that our nanny was out of town.
Right.
Out of the country, actually.
Right.
So Andy says to Danny, you were getting it from all sides in the comments, and a viewer asks, do you now understand how hard it was for Janet online? And Danny says the situations were different. And of course, Lala says, your only answer should be yes. Shut up, Lala. Somebody get her off the couch. I can't. She's literally only there to comfort Danny and to protect Janet. Get her off the couch. Danny says, I have never experienced that in my life. He was told to kill himself. And I do remember Janet saying the same thing, which is horrible. I mean, we're all fans. We all enjoy these shows. We comment, but that's a level that should never be reached.
Level. No.
He said he cried about it. He didn't want to get out of bed. And he apologized to Janet because he apologized for the things she experienced and for his part in reposting things and liking posts. And he's very sorry. And Janet cries and says she appreciates it. And Janet says, I think it's something that most people do not experience, and it's dark. And she's right.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sorry that Danny went through it. And then Kristen says she went through it when she was on VPR.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, at this point, I really do hope that the Bookos and the Capernas can get past whatever nonsense is going on here, because it is a good show.
Right.
But you have to stop the campaign against Danny. And we're going to get to it because they talk about it, but you can't. This show is about couples with young kids who drink a lot. That's what this show is about.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like Danny's behavior when he drinks, stop drinking with him, because this is what you guys do.
Right.
Anyway.
So there seems to be some big hubbub about Danny saying he hasn't really drank.
Yeah.
And then something goes on. We're going to find out next episode at Jasmine's wedding.
Yeah. Yeah. So Kristen says she's mortified. She was mortified watching things back. Jasmine says this is where it gets confusing. And Lala says she understands Danny's confusion because they were telling him, drink all you want, because they all get drunk together. And then the next day they're telling him that they don't like his behavior and it's bad when he's drunk. So she says, you're unpredictable. And a lot of people are unpredictable when they drink too much. It doesn't have to be somebody like her who has accepted the fact that she can't drink. She has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol enough to the point where she can't even have one sip. And she's right. Some people just are unpredictable. So Danny says since rapping, he has never been that intoxicated. And he's been in therapy and he's looking at his relationship with alcohol. And then Brittany says under her breath, Jesse, you need to bring up the wedding. Why don't you bring up the wedding, Brittany?
Right.
You were there, so fucking talk about it, Brittany.
Right. You got something to say.
So Go Andy ahead. Says what happened at Jasmine's wedding, and Jasmine's like, what wedding? And Jesse says this has nothing to do with me, and Lala says that is bullshit. Lala wasn't even at the wedding, from what I understand. So we're going to find out next week what happened. But Brittany is she's a snake. She's always been a snake. She knew exactly who Jax was when she married him. Jax fucked somebody else while they were dating. She still got engaged and married to him. So I'm sorry, Brittany. I don't feel bad for you. Because then she does shit like this. I start to feel bad for her because he's screwing his publicist now. And then she pulls this bullshit where she's like, Jesse, you have to bring up the wedding. You bring up the wedding. You're getting paid to be on a show. You do it. I know, I get too heated. We got to talk about this after we wrap.
That's all right. We shall see.
All right. Well, thanks for watching and listening.
Yes,
that's all we got on the Valley Reunion Part 2.
Yeah. See you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.